So the story of Dubai is basically a fairy tale. You had this small fishing village in the 1950s that no one had ever heard of. It had no electricity. And now you've got one of the world's key trading hubs, this megalopolis, known for bling and for, being a huge tourist destination, known for a big logistics sector. It happened in a very short period of time, probably one of the fastest modernizations ever.
This is the story of one city's improbable rise and the innovation that makes it thrive in one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. Decades before it could build the biggest and the tallest, Dubai first had to overcome a seemingly insurmountable obstacle. One that few cities on the planet face: its own climate.
Well, the heat is definitely a challenge. There's no way you can avoid the elements here in Dubai.
I mean, it's super hot, it's extremely humid, especially at night. You get this bank of humidity that comes in off the Gulf.
To beat the heat, Dubai found innovation in an import from the West.
People always say necessity is the mother of invention. So what is the biggest necessity in a space like this? It's hot, you need air conditioning, you need livable atmosphere. So they focused on it and brought air conditioning and made it available to everybody at a marginal cost.
Next station is Nahil.
Became a little bit more of a hospitable place. It already had some of the key ingredients in place to grow, especially friendly investment laws and a government that was very open to foreigners moving in and opening businesses.
Now, half a century later, the Emirate is focusing on its own innovation for continued economic growth. This is where it begins, the Dubai Future Foundation. Based inside one of the world's first 3D printed buildings, this accelerator picks startups from around the world to work directly with government entities here. Startups like Mistbox, a US-based company with a solar-powered solution to make air conditioning more energy efficient.
Dubai is incredibly comfortable with thinking big. The leaders have pushed on it. They have said, let's innovate. Early in the days, that innovation came from a necessity. Now innovation is a drive to going forward.
That comes with ambitions to become one of the leading smart cities in the world.
You have to play to win. You don't want to be the Silicon Valley of the Middle East. You want to be Dubai of the Middle East, driving change into the new world.
Changing everything from future energy technology to architecture, even shipping. Early morning in a logistics center in Dubai's warehouse district. Couriers scramble to prepare the day's deliveries. Packages are scanned, vehicles loaded. Efficiency and speed are key here. These goods should reach their destination within just a few hours, especially the medicines, cosmetics, even chocolates. Longer than that and they could melt in Dubai's scorching heat. That's what cool boxes are for, perhaps not the most innovative solution. But the technology behind its delivery could disrupt the entire shipping industry. It's driven by Fetcher, a Dubai-based startup founded by two expats, Idris Al-Rifai and Joy Ajlouni.
When I came to this region of the world and when I started doing business here, it's shocking to me as an American that there are no addresses. So the way that packages get delivered is you get a phone call and you have somebody usually with a language barrier, asking you, where do you live? And you literally say, make a left at the grocery store, make a right at this statue.
Fetcher connects couriers to customers through GPS.
3 billion of people don't have an address, but they have a smartphone. All these guys are not connected to e-commerce because they don't have any address. We're trying to change that. Okay? Using your cell phone as your address and making sure that we can deliver to you anywhere you are.
Anything going on? What are the numbers this week for C2C?
The idea was born in 2012 after Idris and Joy met in California.
Every week we're breaking the record? Have we hit 3? We started back then with what, like 3 employees and 2 desks, and now we're at 1,500 employees and growing.
Growing by 100% in the past 4 months, they say. Investors are now taking note. Fetcher recently secured $41 million in funding. They believe their model will upend the entire logistics sector.
We don't see ourselves as a shipping company that's looking for technology. We started off as a tech company first. From day one, we were a tech company. So for us, do we look for other companies as competition? To be honest with you, no, we don't.
They run it like a Silicon Valley startup, but wanted to call Dubai home. And not just to be close to their market.
Dubai has a strong appeal, especially for customers, employees. It's actually not too difficult to recruit someone from the US or from rainy London to come here.
For Joy, Dubai offers a level playing field.
There's not a lot of women in tech, not just in the Middle East, but even in the United States. And I think that you know, people come to me all the time and they say, oh, it must be really hard for you to be a woman in the Middle East to conduct business, right? It's harder than the United States. And I can honestly look at you in the face and tell you, no, it's not.
There are, of course, challenges. Visa restrictions and business regulations for startups can be costly, say analysts.
It's a double-edged sword for startups in Dubai. So you've got a state, you've got a government that's very supportive of business and of startups. But on the other hand, you have some onerous laws. So if you're operating outside of these small free zone enclaves, you have to have 51% ownership by a local Dubai citizen. So that's that's like a big tax.
The difficulty for a startup in Dubai is the fact I can't start in my garage. Facebook, Microsoft for that example, and Apple, they started in garages. And because we are coming as outsiders here, we need business license and those other elements.
Idris and Joy say the ecosystem is improving. And just like Dubai with its climate, Fetcher has so far overcome the hurdles.
It's great, and there's a lot of pressure because, Idris and I kind of look at it like, Silicon Valley is focusing on the Middle East, and traditionally they don't focus here. They focus on China and they focus on India, but for us, we feel an immense amount of pressure because with our success, then there's so many other entrepreneurs in this area that, maybe they'll take a look and say, hey, there's some talent out there. So we feel an immense pressure to succeed, to open the gateway for Silicon Valley to really look at this region of the world.
The Emirate of Dubai lies on the edge of a vast desert. A sea of red sand stretching for hundreds of miles across the Arabian Peninsula. Hardly the type of place you'd expect to find an Amazonian jungle. With a toucan and a sloth. But Dubai often makes the impossible possible. This is the city's new tropical biodome, the Green Planet.
Looks really good compared to a few weeks ago.
Chris Davis manages operations here.
What we've tried to do is recreate a rainforest here in the desert. This is an environment that most people in this area would never get an opportunity to see.
There are over 3,000 plants and animals living under the dome. All are imported from South America, Asia, and beyond.
Yeah, this guy's called a ball python. Basically, it's a snake from pantropical Africa.
This biodome is Dubai's latest innovative solution to combat the harsh climate here. Smart technology maintains temperatures to keep animals and visitors comfortable throughout the day.
The building is actually, the environment is maintained by a central computer system. So as the temperature or as the humidity falls below where it's supposed to be, it does kick in whatever system is needed to offset that.
It took 2 years to construct and is environmentally friendly. Specially coated glass keeps heat out. All of the water here, from the falls to fish tanks, is recycled.
The environment is a sensitive place, so we feel very strongly that, you know, we lead by example. We want to make sure that everything we can do to conserve, we do.
The green planet is part of a growing trend in construction here. It's not just about bigger and taller anymore, it's about going green. With few fossil fuel resources, Dubai may have no other choice.
Dubai has a bunch of stark environmental challenges. So it is a city that is it's a net energy importer. It's also one of the most energy intense places on Earth. So per capita energy consumption in Dubai and in the surrounding region is higher than it is in America.
Dubai is now looking to change that. It hopes to reduce energy and reduce the city's carbon dioxide footprint both by 20%. That's the goal for 2030. But one local developer already has a working model of what the future could look like. It's called the Sustainable City, a 2 million square foot complex of homes built to be zero net energy. Faris Saeed runs the company behind it.
No one in the world have done this in this way. We succeeded to cover all the aspects of environment and sustainability by the highest standards under one umbrella.
The 500 homes here are powered by solar energy, yet oriented to avoid direct sunlight inside. Water is recycled on site. And you won't find cars here. The community even grows its own vegetables.
We wanted to see it from a holistic point of view. We wanted to cover sustainability by all aspects and to the highest standards.
Faris came up with the idea at a time when other ambitious developments started going bust.
In 2009, Dubai went through a huge financial crash. The city was almost insolvent.
For Faris, it was a turning point.
When the crisis hit, we had to think in different direction. We had to think in a more creative way.
For him, that meant cornering the green market. Faris visited other sustainable models in Japan, Denmark, and California to borrow best practices of each for his city.
We have never claimed that we invented anything here. Just, it's the way of thinking, the creative way of linking things together.
And so far, it's working. Faris has sold 2/3 of his properties, which start at nearly $1 million a home.
Developers are afraid always from the extra cost. Today what we are trying to prove here that you can make your profits, it's untouchable, and still you can do something which you will be proud of, your kids will be proud of, and all the world will like it. And it will serve the whole planet.
Across Dubai, there are other sustainable buildings, and some new ones in the works. Most hope to leverage Dubai's most abundant natural resource.
The region is very well endowed with solar energy. It's most of those cities in the Gulf get 300 plus sunny days a year. So sun is a very predictable resource there, whereas less predictable elsewhere. So that's a great possibility.
Better technology will help, but only if residents know how best to use it, say analysts.
It all comes back to people. People are your greatest strength in how you design a sustainable city, and they're also your greatest weakness.
Go, bring the ducks.
That's why education is one of Ferris's main goals. He plans to build a school here to teach future generations about the impact of sustainability.
When you see what's happening with the climate change, this makes you worried. We developers, we have a huge impact we can make. Oh.
Dubai International Airport. A few decades ago, this was just a small airfield on the edge of the desert. Today, it's one of the busiest airports in the world. It served over 83 million passengers last year, more than the biggest hubs in London, New York, and Chicago.
In the mid-1990s, they were looking to expand the airport, and the consultants came and said, don't do it, because planes can fly over you now. You were only needed as a refueling stop. And Sheikh Mohammed at that point turned to the people in the room and he said, find a reason to bring the planes out of the air. And that created the entire tourism aspect.
And so Dubai did, launching a tourism sector in the process. The city built shopping malls and flashy five-star resorts. Its goal? Attract enough visitors to diversify the Emirates' economy away from dwindling oil reserves. And it worked.
By all sorts of clever methods, they're attracting people to come through Dubai, get off the plane, exit customs, spend a few days, enjoy the beach or do some shopping, and then come back to the airport and get on your plane and go.
Now Dubai hopes to attract even more visitors, some 20 million a year by 2020. Its latest hook? Big thrills. This is Dubai Parks and Resorts, a new 25 million square foot, $3 billion complex of theme parks that took 3 years to build. One is Bollywood, designed to attract visitors from South Asian markets.
Before we opened, guests would really come to Dubai for the beaches, shopping, desert safaris experience, and we pretty much tapped out about not quite a four-day length of stay for most overseas or overnight tourists. So really the theme park model was here to help drive the 20 million visitors by 2020, and also to increase that length of stay from just close to 4 days to 6, 7, 8 days.
Analysts say this government-owned park, as well as a few private ones, could receive 18 million visitors by 2020. Of course, all those people will need a place to stay. Build it, and they will come. That has always been Dubai's guiding philosophy, especially with hotels, like the world-famous Burj Al Arab.
It's a beautiful building. It's a landmark that's used to kind of set the tone for the city. It's it's something that attracts tourists, as a spectacle in its own right.
And so new spectacles are on the horizon. Hotels with clever designs to draw crowds.
Yeah, so I guess the mock-up's somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere here. So you got to look at the mock-up.
Pritam Panwar thinks his plans have an edge over the competition. He's building the future Rosemont Hotel and a 75,000 square foot rainforest on the property.
Dubai is a city of dreams and creativity, and it's the way the city has shown, it brings immense pleasure, I think, to the architectural fraternity to bring their creativity and their expertise to potential clients who are looking to develop structures going beyond and thinking beyond what the world has to offer.
The city's newest hotel is an ultra-luxurious beachfront property on Dubai's man-made Palm Island and cost over $1 billion to build.
One of the big challenges is obviously competition. Dubai has grown from strength to strength over the last 10 years, probably quicker than any city in the world. And with that has come a lot of hotels.
One of the city's most exclusive hotels has 1,500 rooms, including underwater suites that cost $8,000 a night. Now Atlantis The Palm is building another 800 rooms at a new hotel next door.
I think the whole ethos with Dubai, and I think with us as well, is you've got to keep innovating. If you don't, you become stale. You can look around resort destinations around the world that sat back on their laurels and are now seriously suffering. So you constantly have to stay ahead of the game. You constantly have to keep changing.
Dubai already has spent billions of dollars on its existing 100,000 rooms and wants to build another 30,000 by 2018. If they build it, will people come? Analysts say demand is there and growing, and not just for sun and sand. The UAE, led by Dubai, is already the region's most visited destination for business conferences and expos.
They can fill them. I mean, Dubai's hotel occupancy rate is consistently the highest in the world.
It is really easy to read in the newspaper another 500 rooms, another 10,000 rooms, and say, oh my gosh, how? But if we were to look back, and from 1975 to 95, the population in Dubai quadrupled. From 95 to 2015, it doubled again.
Perhaps geography has helped, with 1/3 of the world's population just a 4-hour flight away. Geography, though, also provided Dubai its single greatest challenge. But from the beginning, the city looked to innovation to overcome its odds, to evolve, modernize, and grow in one of the harshest climates on the planet.